Hey everybody, my name is Josh, and today I'm going to give you a tour of this 2013 Ford Transit Connect conversion van. I feel like if I call this a camper van, I'll get a lot more hate in the comments than I usually do. So I just have a few things I want to mention before we jump into the tour here. The first is down below in the description, you will find my website, briarwoodvans.com. And you're also going to find links to a bunch of products that you'll see throughout this tour, as well as other van tours that I've done in the past. I don't know what I'm doing with this hand. And lastly, I just want to point out that this conversion is quite a bit different than the builds that I've done in the past. And that's because I customize each project based on the client's request. But there are some cool features in this build, so I'll jump behind the camera and we'll get started on this tour. As always, I like to start with the exterior, and so we'll go over what is all installed up on the roof. Up here, you'll find two 100-watt solar panels, and behind that, you're going to see the Max Air fan, and we'll go over that a little bit more once we make it to the inside. Now, unlike most of the van builds that I do, the front door is not on the passenger slider this time. It's over on the driver's side, so we'll hop around over there, and we'll pop this door open. We'll start up here on the left. This is a very large storage cubby cabinet. It's just an extension of the factory shelf that comes in these vans. And it gives you some additional storage and then allowing you to access it a little bit easier when you're in the back of the van behind the seats. I get a lot of questions about this storage cabinet, and I have been toying around with the idea of making build plans. So if you think that's something you'd be interested in, let me know down in the comments. And now we're going to jump down here and go over some more storage that I was able to sneak in underneath the floor. I also get a lot of questions about whether or not you should use a cargo van or a passenger van when building out a camper. A cargo van tends to have a steel plate that extends forward because there's of course no rear seat and no need for the footwell. That metal plate that extends forward kind of blocks this area off. And so this particular model was a passenger van. And so I just bring the floor forward like I usually do, but I build a riser here, and that actually gives you a little bit of additional storage down in this footwell area. As you can see, I just have the jack relocated under here. You can actually store some things the full width of the van pretty much. There is a hump in the center just behind the center console. So for example, this jack bumps into that and can't go sliding into the middle of the floor where you wouldn't be able to reach it. But it gives you about 48 inches or so of length for anything low profile enough to fit over that hump. The last thing I want to point out over here in the front door area is this switch. This is for your overhead LEDs. It's just touch sensitive. It does allow you to dim your lights if they allow for that. I'm a fan of these because of how low profile they are. Traditional on-off switches do have that lever that, I don't know, maybe you could bump into it and break that off, loading things in and out of the van. And you don't have to worry about that with this style switch. Now I'll hop around to the back and pop those doors open and we'll get a better look at the inside of this thing. On the back doors here, you're gonna see that some flip up tables were added. These are pretty nice to have, especially because on the Transit Connect, and I feel like most vans these days, the doors can swing open at least 180, sometimes further. Swing this one open as well. And as you can see, it just really opens the space up in the back here. Here you can get a good look at the inside of the van. The main floor length from the back here to just behind the driver's seat is about 74 inches. And then as you can tell, the passenger seat is removed, and that actually allowed me to extend the floor up another 25 inches. It also gave me an opportunity to make some additional storage, which we'll get into in just a bit. For width, we have 48 inches up by the slider doors, and you have about 45 inches between these two cabinets. For the flooring, it's a rubber utility tile type of a floor. It just clicks together. I know it looks a little smudgy at the moment, but it is really easy to clean and it's nice and durable. I wrapped all the edges in aluminum angle. As you can kind of see, it follows the perimeter of the floor up there and then back behind that driver's seat. Right away in the back here, you're going to see two low profile side cabinets. The idea here was to keep as much open space as possible, and so they just cover over the wheel wells. In doing this, I was able to sneak in a couple storage cubbies, and I'll take you through what's going on in these cabinets. At the back of each cabinet, you're going to find a 12-volt outlet. It just features 2 USB ports and then a 12-volt accessory plug-in. And then down below that is actually a little door, and this is really just more of an access panel. I guess if you got creative, you could probably store some things behind here. But it was put in place just so you have access to your knobs in the event that you need to change out your blinker or your tail light. Moving over here to the left, this is one of those cubbies I mentioned. I was able to sneak this in just above the wheel well. It's really just here for some general storage. Now in this van, you fill up the gas on the passenger side, and so it makes the wheel well over here a little bit taller, and so it made the cubby on this side a little bit smaller than the one on the driver's side cabinet. Close that up. Moving over to the left, this is the last little access panel, and this just reveals the 12-volt fuse block. This little cubby was not designed for storage, but again, I guess if you get creative, you could probably sneak a couple things in there. Moving over to the driver's side cabinet here, you can see that 12-volt outlet again, as well as the access panel, allowing you to change out your taillights. Then up to the right, one more storage cubby. Again, this side is a little bit taller than the passenger side, also just designed for general storage. With both the cabinets and the walls being wrapped in carpet, I decided to make the cabinet top out of wood in an attempt to kind of create some separation. Up at the top of the walls here, you'll notice some speakers installed. These are just a little bit of an upgrade from the factory ones. Making our way up to the ceiling finally, you'll see those recessed lights, as well as the bottom side of that MaxxAir fan. Now this fan has both intake as well as exhaust. And again, you'll find links to all these products down below in the description. Now I'll make my way up by where the passenger seat was, and we'll go over what's going on with that floor extension. This fan conversion was designed to run off of one of those portable power stations, and it's actually going to be located right up here in the footwell of where the passenger seat was. So you'll notice some cable leads here. These are the leads coming from the solar panels, so you can plug them into your power station and charge via the good old sun. And then this is going to be the cable you plug in to give you power to the accessories in the back, like the lights, the fan, and then those 12-volt outlets in those cabinets. And as I'm sure you can tell, there is not a power station sitting right there, so those cables are just kind of hanging out for the moment. Now the only catch to this design is, depending on the size power station that you decide to use, is that you may be giving up access to your glove box. For some people that's not really a big deal, but I know that storage in these small vans is tough to find, and so that leads me over to this floor extension. Now, in extending this floor forward and keeping it level with the back, I was able to sneak in a little bit of additional storage. This top is actually hinged, and if you lift it up, it'll reveal a little cubby down below. So if your power station blocks your glove box, this can kind of make up for that lost space. If not, it's just some additional storage. Now, giving up your passenger seat can be a big commitment, and so the idea with designing this floor extension was to make it removable. I used the factory mounting points that the seat installs into to secure this down to the floor. And so if one day you wanted to put the passenger seat back in place, you could actually remove this part of the floor without removing anything going on back there. The only thing that you'd have to do is just replace this aluminum angle with a longer piece going from that corner over to this side. Then you would pretty much have the exact same build with a passenger seat. Of course, you would have to relocate your power station, but the cable leads up there are actually pretty long, so you'd have a few different options as to where you could locate that in the back. Well, I think that's going to do it for this tour. Hopefully I didn't miss anything. If I did, be sure to leave a comment below, and I'll try to get back to as many people as I can. Like I mentioned, down in the description, you'll find my website, along with links to a bunch of the products you saw on this van tour. I appreciate you all taking the time to tour this van with me. If you like this video, you can hit that good old thumbs up button, consider subscribing, and I will see you in the next one.